Hello, 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 everyone. Happy Monday. Thank you for joining me today on this Monday. Always feels great. Monday is the first day of the week, start to feel a little refreshed, kind of hit that reset button. So, if this is your first time joining me, thank you for joining in with me. My name is Andrea Wilson. I'm the broker and owner over at Brick House Realty. Brick House Realty, we're a full service real estate brokerage. And this is our seventh year being in business, and I'm really proud of that. As a small local owned business, my husband and I started this business, and usually they say between 3 to 5 years in a business, oftentimes fail. Usually, if you make it past that point, then you're going to make it. So we made it, you guys. So thank you for joining me today. Today's topic, I'm talking about how to prepare your home for sale, for listing it. And so there's a couple things that you do as you go along the process of trying to decide. So I have 5 things here that will help take you along the process. If you have not been paying attention to the real estate market, you may not know that it is absolutely a seller's market right now. The inventory is really low on the market, so sellers are getting way above the asking price in many cases. We're seeing offers written at $20,000 and $30,000 over asking price in many cases. And so you do have to have your home in a certain condition in order to see those type of offers coming in well over asking price. But it's happening. It's happening across the country, not just here in the Cleveland market. So the step number one is you have to make the decision to sell your home. I know that for many owners, the last few years, you were looking, may have thought about selling your home and your value, you lost equity. And in many cases, sellers were having to write a check at closing costs. And so that doesn't feel good for anyone if you have to write a check or pull some money out your savings in order to get out of those transactions. And for some owners, they didn't have a choice. Maybe you're relocating due to work, downsizing, or whatever it is. So you have to make the decision to sell your home. With interest rates being as low as they were, a lot of owners were deciding to go ahead and just refinance their homes. With COVID-19, people were deciding that they just would rather stay in their home. They didn't need that extra space like they had thought. But then for others, they thought about they realized they did not have enough space. They needed that extra office space or whatever it is to be comfortable for the next pandemic, hopefully no time soon. But you have to really make that decision, sit down with your family, make that decision if you're going to sell your home or not. If you are thinking about selling your home, now is absolutely one of the best times to sell, so you can get the highest and best offer on there. Eventually, the market will slow down a little bit. I'm not sure when that's going to be, but as of right now, we are seeing interest rates start to increase a little bit. So that kind of interest rate increase, when it increases, it does slow down the market. We have about 1.2 months of inventory. So typically 6 months of inventory. We call that more so a buyer's market out there. So 1.2, we're absolutely in a seller's market in the marketplace. It's a new market for myself. Actually, I've never seen the market. I've been licensed now for a long time, almost 15 years, and I've never seen a market quite like this one. So it's always interesting, the peaks and valleys that we go through as real estate agents in the industry. So number one, make the decision if you're going to sell your home. And that's only a decision you and your family can make if the timing is right for you. And it may have a little to do as to your reasonings for wanting to sell your home. And then number two is, what's the best way to sell your home? For some people, you've thought about selling it for sale by owner. And then for others, the option is to list it with a real estate agent. As a real estate agent, obviously, I'm going to be a little bit biased and say that you go with the real estate agent. But putting a little fact behind that is that you can do the research and find out when you kind of do the search that typically the real estate agent nets you as the seller more money than trying to sell it for sale by owner. And part of that reason is, as real estate agents, we are in the field, we're working contracts, and we have strong negotiating power to get the highest and best offer for you. As a seller, you may not be in sales, right? You don't know what is customary in the transaction to approve or accept or pay for. So it's important for you to, well, if you want to get the highest and best amount, then you may want to consider listing it with a real estate agent. The other thing that there's two things that I always notice from time to time. I do have the pleasure of working with some for sale by owners. And there's a couple things that I notice in a transaction. Number one is not being prepared for the documents, not knowing what documents are needing help completing the transaction. So when I bring a buyer to that for sale by owner in that transaction, I'm representing my buyer. So I'm going to write everything to the benefit of my client. Whereas that seller, you have no one representing you in the transaction. So because of that, you could really be harmed, or I won't say harmed, you might be missing out. You have no one representing you. It's like going to court without a lawyer, but the person that you're going to court against, they bring an attorney. Well, the attorney knows all of the loopholes on how to work the system, but you representing yourself, you don't know the system. You don't know what you don't know. And that's no different from being in a real estate transaction. The other thing that I notice with a lot of for sale by owners is that you usually have a full-time job. And so you may be working somewhere, and as part of that job, you might have to work overtime, or you're busy, you have family life. And so sometimes as the owner, you just don't have the time and flexibility to show your property as an agent would be there to show your property. So the lack of accessibility is also hurting a lot of for sale by owners as well. So that's the other thing. So my number 2 tip would be just trying to determine who's going to sell your home. What's the best approach to take? Are you going to try for sale by owner? I don't suggest, or are you going to use an agent to do that? And then number 3, you want to prepare your home for sale. So now you made the decision, you know that you want to sell your home. You're going to use that real estate agent. So now you have to prepare your home for sale. That means going through with the to-do list and touching up paint, fixing that broken window pane, or that leaky crack in the floor, whatever it is, those little to-do lists that kind of add up over time and that we just think about getting to later. We want to make sure that we're doing that. Also, if you can throw on a fresh coat of paint, that also is always helpful in the transaction or before selling your home as well, just because paint goes a long way. It's very cheap to do. Most people can do paint themselves without having to hire someone. If you need to hire someone, just go ahead and do that. It's still really inexpensive to do so. But making sure and decluttering your home and preparing it for that sale. So my number 4 is how to negotiate offers and kick off the closing process. So that's going to be another piece of it, right? So even with a real estate agent, really understanding how the process and flow works and what's being presented in front of you. As your real estate agent, I'm always going to be working in your behalf along the transaction, but you really don't, like with anything, even if you're working with an attorney, you also want to do a little due diligence and research yourself. So when that contract comes over, making sure that you're reading that contract yourself, making sure you're reading that listing agreement when that agent sends it over. What is the term? How long is it for? What are the fees, the commission fees? How is that going to be split on there? Really reading that. And then when that contract comes over, what are you going to be responsible for? Is that buyer asking you to pay some of their fees in a transaction? What are they looking for? Do they want a home warranty? Inspection periods. How long are the inspection periods going to be in the contract? Can you change that? It's a contract, so almost everything is going to be negotiable throughout the transaction, as long as you get it in writing. We want to make sure we always have everything in writing and both parties sign off. Buyer signs off and the seller signs off in that transaction as well. And then my number 5 is what to do in the final steps of selling your home. You have your home on the market. You made it all pretty. You prepared it for the sale. You got an offer on the property. And so now the final steps is you're waiting to close on that property. The title company is going to, for the first part of the close, usually the close happens between 30 to 40 days. If they're using financing, if it's cash, it can go much quicker. But that first leg of it, the title company is primarily working with the seller of the property. They're doing searches and making sure that there's no liens on the property. It's not uncommon for a lien to pop up on a property. You might have had an old mortgage on there that wasn't paid off. You might have had a maintenance guy do some work. They put a lien on the property that you could have even paid, but it was never removed. So it's going to be important that you communicate with and work with that title company to get them whatever documentation or contact information that's needed to remove any liens or payoffs that are on the property, so we can close as quickly as possible, because those little things can delay the close of the property, and you don't want that. Obviously, you're selling your property and you may need to be somewhere by a certain time, who knows, or this buyer may need to be or planning to be in your home by a certain time because they have to be out of where they are. So it's a number of scenarios that can work through there. So those are my 5 tips when preparing to sell your home. You just want to be prepared. If you want more questions or if you want a market analysis on your home, I know a lot of people thought that, they had lost some value in your home. So if you want to kind of see where things are at, happy to provide you with a quick market analysis of your home. You can send me a DM or a private message. You can comment in the comment section here. I'm happy to answer those questions for you. Or you can call the number that's scrolling along the bottom of the screen right here. So here in Cleveland, it's a little cloudy. It was raining earlier. I'm not sure where you're at. Hopefully you have sunshine, right? Sunny days. Summer is approaching. It's almost Memorial Day, guys, and May is almost over. I cannot believe it. School will be letting out. So hope you guys have a wonderful Memorial holiday weekend. I'm here available for you to answer any questions. Just want to thank you again for joining me. If you're not already, make sure you're either like or subscribe to my page or to my channel so we can stay connected and when I'm going live. I'm always on here Monday, providing your Monday market update with tips and information. And until next time, thanks for joining.